Right. Screen. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the TCE Community Meeting. If you are watching this from home, we encourage you to come and join us live. We have two options for you to choose from regarding our community meetings. We meet every first and third Wednesday of the month at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific Time. If you aren't able to join that, we also have a new addition to the community meetings for our APAC community. We're going to start holding those every second Thursday of the month at 9 a.m. India Standard Time. And again, these opportunities are for you to come and listen in on what the TCE team is working on, provide feedback. You can bring up any questions you might have on how to use TCE or request any features. Just a really great way for you to engage with us and other members of the community. Additionally, we do have office hours, and that's more of an open discussion style where you can bring something that might require a little bit more time that you need help with regarding TCE. If you have something that you want to propose, anything like that, those are held every second and fourth Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. If you aren't able to join any of those options, you can still reach us at within the Kubernetes Slack workspace in the Tanzu Community Edition channel. You can find us in GitHub discussions. You can add your request, question, or suggestion to our issue list, or you can drop us an email as well. When you do have something that you want to bring up with the team, and anybody that is on this call, you can put that down in the discussion topics section of the agenda, and we'll get to it towards the end of the meeting. Additionally, when you engage with us or any member of the community, we ask that you please read and abide by our code of conduct, which is listed out here, and it's also within our repo as well. And new that we just added here, we want to know more about how you are using TCE. This will not only help us on discovering use cases and how maybe to best plan for production of TCE, but also to help others in the community see how TCE is used and how they might be using it. So within this issue, we ask that you provide a little bit more information about your company, any links to your website, what is your scenario for using TCE. And if you're comfortable, we would love to feature you on our adopters page. So go ahead and add a PNG version of your logo to the comment, and we'll get it added to the adopters page. For those that are attending this meeting, please add your name and any organization that you are representing in the attendees section. On to announcements. So in case you didn't notice, I am not Nigel. I am the new community manager for TCE. And starting today and onwards, I'll be your host for these community meetings. I'll be interacting with you through Slack, through email, anything that you may need help with. I'm here for you. I'm here to support the community, and I'm really excited to participate in this way. So please feel free to reach out to me, drop me a line in Slack. I'd love to hear from you. As I mentioned before, we are going to be starting our APAC community meeting next week, March 9th at 9 a.m. Indian Standard Time, and we're going to be holding those every second Thursday of the month. If you'd like a invite to that, just go join our Google groups and you should receive an invite. On to status updates. First off, we have our PM updates for 0.11. We're focusing on interoperability with Tanzu Mission Control, which is TMC. So if you hear us talking TMC, we use a lot of acronyms. That stands for Tanzu Mission Control. and it'll provide new developer experience capabilities. Eddie, do you want to share some more details on that?
Sure, I can talk about that a little bit. Hi, I'm Eddie Donnell. For folks who don't know me, I am one of the product managers over here at VMware. So there's a couple of things that we're doing here. One of them, Kartik is actually going to talk about much more extensively with the cartographer stuff and the app platform meta package and so forth. But Tanzu Mission Control, or TMC, is this is one of the things that we're trying to drop into 0.11. A couple of things to note about 0.11. It's going to be a relatively small update because it is coming as fast on the heels of 0.10 as we actually want our updates to come, as opposed to the gap that we had in prior releases. So like we're trying to move a little bit quicker with this. We're close on the heels here. And we're going to make sure that TCE works with TMC. And one of the things that we announced last year is a free starter edition of Tanzu Mission Control. TCE working with that is going to be just a great way to play with all of the different capabilities of Tanzu, in addition to the core TCE stuff that we've been working with up to this point. Do you want to? Yeah. So what is TMC briefly? So TMC is a SaaS product that is designed for managing across multiple clouds and multiple instances of Kubernetes. So it provides policy, it provides a central management plane, both CLI, UI, API, to be able to interact with a whole bunch of Kubernetes coming from a whole bunch of different places. And it is kind of the core of what VMware's Kubernetes strategy dovetails into is around that product. Is that responsive to the question?
Yes, thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you. Kartik, you want to take it away about the dev experience capabilities?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Scott has a comment / question after that, so maybe we can address that after. From a developer experience, phase one, I think first of all, I'm Kartik. I think I've been around enough that hopefully folks know me by now. But if not, I'm Kartik. I'm a PM focused on the open source strategy of the Tanzu application platform, which is our commercial product, and obviously focused on bringing all of that goodness to TCE. We had KPAC come in to TCE in the previous release, and in this one, we're working on bringing Cartographer into TCE. If y'all don't know what Cartographer is a new VMware originated open source project that makes it easy for users to choreograph their supply chains, aka their path to production, into a set of steps that they can use various technologies for. So it's really powerful. I really recommend folks checking that out. The other thing that we are planning / trying to bring in the V11 release is what is known as app platform meta package. Disclaimer: app platform the name is still TBD. That might change, so I just want to give you a heads up on that. The links are there for the proposals, but this is sort of the first package of packages that will bring a lot of the application platform capabilities together, make it so it does both things, right? One, make the installation easier, and then two, introduces the ability for users to create Tanzu workloads from source code. So yeah, I'm excited for what's coming in the next couple of releases. Hope you all can give a ton of feedback for it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kartik. Any comments or questions regarding these particular updates before we move on? Okay, and yeah, if you're watching this from home, please check out these proposals. And if you have any feedback, drop us a line there or find us in Slack. We'd love to hear from you. On to engineering updates. Unmanaged cluster updates. John McBride, want to take it away?
Yeah, sure thing. So there's been a lot of exciting work happening with getting TMC interoperability with TCE, but kind of behind the scenes, there's also been a lot of new feature work in unmanaged cluster happening. So recently we've had some big PRs merge, and I guess really what unmanaged cluster is, for those that are unaware, is it's our lightweight way to kind of Tanzuify some cluster locally on your workstation. Right now, that defaults to kind, which is Kubernetes in Docker. And one big feature that's coming now is multi-node clusters, which is supported by Docker. So this is useful for people who want to test multi-node configurations, multiple workers, multiple control planes, and now that works with unmanaged cluster. We also had lagged just a little bit with our package repository. So that is now updated and will also be updated to the new V11, or I guess V011, excuse me, package repository. If you weren't able to get onto, or if you're lagging a little bit behind and you're still on the V09.1 package repository, you can use the Tanzu package repository update command to still get the newest one. But yeah, that will be coming by default in the next release. Also coming is exit codes, which will be really useful for automation. An exit code is really just a way for a process to communicate what happened to the higher level process. So if something went wrong, we can return a certain exit code and tell the automation or your CI/CD pipeline or something, maybe they can try to recover. The diagnostic plugin now also supports unmanaged cluster. And I just dropped a PR for passing in a config for the kind provider, which will actually cover quite a bit of feature requests from people. Like Jorge has had a bunch of these requests about, attaching to a different interface or different port mappings and things. And that will all now be supported by just passing in a kind configuration for the kind provider. So a lot of really cool stuff happening, but that's been a bit behind the scenes with other things happening. So still really cool features coming in unmanaged cluster.
Great, thanks, John. The install UI proposals, who's able to give some details on that?
Hi, yeah, I could talk about those at a high level. So we have two proposals out right now. One is for a CLI installer. The deliverable would, in essence, be a set of executables for Windows, Mac, perhaps Linux, to assist with installing the Tanzu CLI and plugins, ensuring that everything is up and running. There's been a lot of feedback that there is friction in that area for customers. So looking to have like a MSI style installer to assist users with that process. And the other proposal is around a guided UI experience that would essentially contain a simplified set of workflows that may be more prescriptive, include additional pre-flight checks to help users with deploying a management cluster more easily. Also provide some learning opportunities and more direction to integrated docs.
Great, thanks, Justin. Before we move on to advocacy updates, does anyone have any questions? I see Jorge, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I do actually. I was curious to know whether these are actually proposals or they are issued to create the proposals, but there is no proposal written
yet. Yeah, they're actually proposals. They don't dive into a ton of details. I do have documents that contain more details where I could use them to kind of boost up these proposals in these GitHub issues if someone found necessary, but totally open to feedback on that.
No. The more you can put in there, the better, because otherwise, this is Steve. I don't know where to give feedback, and it's really sparse in there right now. Like I don't know, should I re-put my Figma thing back in there about what I would like to see? And like, it's just, there's no context for what you're asking for, and there's no way to give, for right now, it feels like there's no way to give constructive feedback.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Anything else regarding engineering updates?
Sorry, I just had a quick question I put in the comment. Justin, would the installer cover the installation of packages or as part of the scope?
The installer, maybe not so much, but in the roadmap for the UI, that is something that we would likely cover.
Awesome.
Kartik, this is where I need you and Justin to talk, because I need meta packages in that UI. Like, I want to just say I'm a developer and I don't want to think about anything else, and you give me all the nice things I want.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, any other questions? Moving on to advocacy updates. Looks like we got
Hey there.
two Tuesday ones. Tiffany?
Yeah, so if you've seen in any of like the roadmap or anything coming up, cartographer is going to become a package in Tanzu Community Edition. This video doesn't specifically use Tanzu Community Edition, but it's a very like in-depth, it's like about 3 hours actually about cartographer. So if you want to look into that before, if you aren't familiar with cartographer before it becomes a package, there's that. And a few weeks ago, Scott did a video, Tanzu Tuesdays, that involves Carvel. And I have not been able to watch this, but I believe it has Tanzu Community Edition. I think he can say otherwise since he's here. But that was the plan last I had heard. And either way, Carvel is very adjacent. Cool.
It was on Community Edition. So yeah.
So yeah, for anyone wanting to see more Tanzu Community Edition stuff, if you look on tanzu.tv under search, you could search for Tanzu Community Edition, or you could click on Scott. If you scroll down on this page and click on Scott's profile, it should show ideally all the videos that Scott's done that have something to do with Tanzu Community Edition. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, thanks, Scott.
For now.
All right, thanks, Tiffany. I really appreciate it. And Scott, thank you so much for all of your advocacy that you have done for Carvel and TC and all sorts of other open source projects. We really appreciate your engagement with us.
Thanks for great products that make advocacy easy.
On to discussion topics. Well, before we go to discussion topics, is there anything else that we should bring up before moving on? Any other questions, concerns, feedback? Okay, so discussion topics. We have one of my favorite humans, John Ryan. He's a maintainer of Carvel. So for those of you who don't know, I also am a community manager for Carvel. And seeing as how intertwined Carvel and TCE are, we thought it'd be a great way to present this proposal to the TCE community and gather feedback from y'all. So would it be helpful, John, for you to share your screen?
Yeah, probably so I can point at stuff and yeah.
Great, I'll stop sharing.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I gotta say I'm super nervous, but not for the reason you might think. I've really got into TikTok like in the last year, and one of my favorite TikTok creators is here. So I'm really hoping to make a good impression on John McBride with our first in-person interaction.
Why'd you have to have me like that?
Right? You got some great stuff on there, man. I really love it when you get on, when you come up on my feed. So yeah, so really quick, I just wanted to come over and say hey to folks and give a little bit of air to something that we're doing that I think is going to be, I'm hoping that's going to be helpful and valuable to all tools that are integrating with Carvel. And this is a feature where we're adding validations to initially like data values, but ultimately to kind of anything you do in YAML. So really quickly, for folks that may not be familiar, YTT is one of the tools out of Carvel. and TCE, among other things, provides these add-ons that are basically a piece of that is that there are carvel packages underneath. And if you have manifests that you want to template out values and be able to make those customized, YTT is a great way to do that. And it's, I guess I wouldn't call it like the default way, but the preferred way out of the Carvel suite. You can write your templates using Helm. We're actually working on Huling integration as well, but YTT is the templating tool that we're providing. So let me just kind of jump into it real quick. Let me find so the link that's there has the actual proposal, and we're doing that thing where we were talking about how to get feedback on proposals. So we have a PR with the proposal in it, and so you can have conversations and make updates and respond to stuff. That's been a great way for us to mature the proposal so far. Put together a really quick video so that you can kind of self-serve about where does this feature fit, and then just places where you can provide feedback. So this is what the proposal looks like. Essentially, what we're trying to do with this feature is allow you to write rules for what are valid values. And we've identified a bunch of use cases here. And part of what would be interesting for us is, are there use cases, the meaningful use cases that we're not considering that are not shaping our overall design? So like an example here would be, this is a really common one. So where you have some configuration value, so let me orient here. So like inside this piece of YAML, this is defining a bunch of variables. We call them data values. And YTT, in the way it does schema, it actually infers as much as it can from the structure. So it actually knows that response type is an array, and each of the elements in the array should be a string. And so what we're proposing is being able to add a rule that says, well, you have to have at least one response type. So that's an example of one of those validations. I used as an example, actually, a bunch of code out of TCE or some of the add-ons. So here's one for Harbor, and here's what we're talking about. There's you can write your own validations today, and teams have had to do that. And what we're hoping to do is actually provide enough out-of-the-box functionality that we can absorb a good chunk of that, so that you don't have to write and maintain that code. We'll just handle that for you with declarative rules. But if you need to downshift into including code, then you can. So here's one for Harbor, the Harbor add-on. It's an example of, it's a complete example as far as we know of. Like, for example, here, if you want to constrain what values are allowed in log level, you can set up an enumeration just using the one of rule. There's other ones in here. This was a fun one. The secret key needs to be exactly 16 in length. So you can set things like that. There's also some rules that need to apply across sets of values. So you can actually define a function that says, for example, in this case, if you're storing your charts on a file system volume and the PVC has a read-write once access mode, then you can only have one registry. So you can write that here, and then you attach this wherever you need to be able to say that, and gives you the ability to provide a customized error message. And so this will all just automatically get validated, all these rules. One of the upshots of this is that we can make sure that if there is a data value that doesn't meet a rule, or if there's more than one, that we actually collect all of those and we'll report that back to the user en masse, which means you can do a thing where you take a package out of the box that, as the author, you're like, hey, I can't provide all the values. I can give you some defaults, but there's things that only you know. You just run this once, and what you get back in terms of violations are all the things that your user must specify, which is kind of cool. So you can get the total set of variables that you can set. Wouldn't it be nice to know what's that minimum set needed to get a successful deployment? So anyway, I just wanted to kind of just give a quick intro to this. The other link is into this PR. We've had a bunch of conversation going on already. Would love to hear anything that you would want to react to this, big or small. Something that you think that should be there that isn't there, something that feels weird or not the way that you would expect it. You can jump into the PR and just start commenting. You just come over to our channel. We're in the Kubernetes Slack as well at Parent Carvel. Yeah, so that's what I had for right now. Were there any questions or comments?
I just wanted to say, hey, John, Jorge here. This is great to see this coming, because as a package author that I've been creating this, I've been suffering with the missing validations and having to do assertions and stuff like that. So obviously this is great stuff, and we will test it thoroughly and give feedback. And then the other thing is that I find great that for one time, like somebody from a project that we use, in this case Carvel, comes to the Tanzu Community Edition to just ask for feedback about what they are doing, and that impacts us directly. So awesome.
Yeah, and this is early enough. Yeah, thank you, Jorge. And I'm looking forward to your feedback. You always give pointed, meaningful, and you're advocating for users. I love it. Yeah, this is early enough. You can really shape how this would work. So yeah, looking forward to making sure that this fits your needs. That's the point. Cool. Anyone else? All right. How did I do, John? Is this all right? You never want to see my
Rude.
face again.
You
Cool.
may
Thanks,
guest
Nancy.
star on one of his TikToks. You never know.
Oh God, I would never impose. But if he offered, like,
Hit me up.
Steven, I believe you have a question.
Yeah. So in addition to being meme-tastic, John has also submitted a PR for an issue that I think is huge and a huge win for getting like a bunch of people to adopt unmanage. Currently, if you do unmanage, it uses Entreya by default, and kind does not like, or Entreya does not like kind. And so you end up with these clusters that cannot restart. I put in a PR to ask, can we just, for now, until we figure this thing out with Entreya, can we please just use Calico by default, because it's giving us the expected behavior? John has already done the PR for it, and we're kind of stuck waiting for someone to say, yes, we approve of this change for the default. So I'm raising the visibility issue of this because I think this is a high impact thing. We've got tons of feedback about how people keep on like writing questions like, I started my machine again and I can't connect to my cluster. What's wrong? Right? And Doc could fix it, but I think we should actually just give the people what they expect. And there's an easy way to do that, and then swap it once we Entreya and kind play nicely together. Eddie, if you're here, it'd be great to hear your thoughts on that.
I think we went a little over time, so why don't I tag you on that thread again, Steve, and maybe we can catch up on this.
Okay, sounds good. Or if anybody, actually, could you put it in the community Slack so that anybody else wants to tag along? Because I know there's a bunch of other people who would really appreciate rebootable, unmanaged clusters. That would be great.
Awesome. Thanks, Stephen. And thanks, John, for presenting that to the community here. Again, if you have any feedback regarding that proposal, we would love to hear from you. Just follow that link in the HackMD. There's a video that he's done that covers all the basics. And if you have any feedback, please drop us a line there. Before I say adieu, is there any other critical item that someone needs to bring up before we part ways? Okay, so for those watching from home, again, we have several options for you to choose from to come join us live. We would love to meet you. We would love for you to engage with us here. So we meet every first and third Thursday, or sorry, every first and third Wednesday of the month for the community meetings, and every second and fourth Wednesday for office hours, as well as for APAC folks, we meet every second Thursday of the month. So check out the times for all of those. Hopefully there's something that fits your schedule and you can come join us. Otherwise, you'll find us on Slack, GitHub, email, all of the above. We would love to hear from you and help each other build some amazing products here. So with that, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.